Hello and welcome to All for United. We have got another Saturday night live and it's great to be here. And as you can see, we have got our usual fantastic group of people. We have got Dan just to my left really over here. How you doing, Dan? You okay?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Good to have you back hosting the show as ever. We've also got the original as we had from last week and enjoyed himself so much. But you'd be forgiven for thinking it was the same person because he's had a fresh trim. We got Benny over there. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very good, mate. I'm just enjoying the Manchester sunshine. Makes a change from the rain.
Absolutely. It's been a horrid week this week down south. I don't know if it's probably been the same for you guys as well. So, yeah, pretty naff. We have, of course, our resident statistician, Mr. John Kay, sat down there in the bottom right. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Finished a hard week of work. Looking forward to Wembley tomorrow. And, good win for the men today.
Absolutely. And of course, he's been absent for a couple of weeks, but he is back. It's his Sir Stuart of Woolly. How are you? He is muted. One
Absolutely.
second.
There you go. Yeah, not bad. The weather's been rubbish here. Not sunny one little bit. So, but yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Thank you, guys.
Excellent. Well, we are looking forward to a fantastic show tonight, as ever. And Jennifer has given us some ringing endorsement here. Anything is better than Eurovision. So there we go. We'll try our best to be better than Eurovision if we can. But if not, we can always get Benny to burst out into song. We'll take some requests if you've got any particular karaoke ideas there.
It's not Barbie Girl.
Or Sweet Caroline. Don't mention that to her. We might spontaneously combust on screen.
So tomorrow it's Hi Ho Silver Lining.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. So, guys, I want to kick off with obviously today, but also just looking back over the last week, how it's been. We're going to talk a bit about the Glazers leaving at some point and the fact that Sir Jim Ratcliffe looks like he's at the top of the list now for taking over. But we'll get to that after we've spoken about the on-the-pitch stuff. And it was a horrible week last week. 1-0 loss to West Ham in a game that we arguably shouldn't have lost. A silly goal to concede. We had the big chat about David De Gea and the dilemma with Dan and John in the middle of the week. It was always going to be a big one. Now, Dan, I'm going to come to you first on this one because it was obviously your show and you don't really get too much of a opinion, so to speak, when you're sitting there and hosting the show. Give us your thoughts on what you're thinking about that, because you're looking at the game with Wolves today. John said, I said he was going to get a clean sheet, and I said, well, he did, but he didn't have a single shot to face. So to be fair, I'd have been worried if he didn't keep a clean sheet. What's your thoughts? Clean sheet, 3 points, happy?
Yeah, pretty happy with a clean sheet and the 3 points. Obviously, should point out that David De Gea is going to win the Golden Glove now. He can only tie with first, so he's going to get the Golden Glove. So that's in the bag. So congratulations to him. My thoughts on David De Gea honestly have changed from doing the midweek show, to be honest. Having to look through the stats and seeing some of it in front of you and seeing it not as bad as what Twitter sort of made it out to be, and some people made it out to be. I agree with your analogy that you were so eloquently clipped in the terms of it's like having a broken arm. He's probably not the worst thing at the club at the moment, but it's an issue that we do need to look at. I'm just a little bit probably up in the air, to be honest, about his future still, because I'm sure his contract expires lower than 50 days now. And we've still heard absolutely nothing on whether he's going to renew or not. It's all just rumours, which I find really strange. There's definitely a question mark there still. Obviously, in terms of the West Ham game, he should have done a lot better for the goal. You can't really say anything else other than that. And then today, he's not really been troubled. There's an interesting stat note going around. I'm gonna say what it is, but I don't know whether it's true. I'm gonna have to definitely double check it after all the lies that go around. And that is his 7th clean sheet this season without a shot on target, which would be absolutely staggering if true. So I'm gonna fact check that one. But it's another clean sheet. It's another win closer to the top 4. I'm a little bit more positive now than I was last week, but I just want one away win, please, before the end of the season. If we can beat Bournemouth away, I'll be a lot more comfortable going into the last two home games. Just got horrible feeling every time I look at the table and I see the goal difference. It really does make me wonder a little bit. It could come down to a goal difference, and I don't really want it to. So yeah, I was relatively happy with today's performance. I actually thought overall he was excellent. I won't delve too much into it, but I thought he was excellent, and Wolves were not very good.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a scary, scary moment for us all, that goal difference. Benny, we spoke about it a bit last week. Does that goal difference worry you? I mean, we've got 2 goals there, but I mean, let's be honest. I think it was John Silk who put on his Twitter earlier on, we just need to win 24-0 to
I messaged that to my friends after the Newcastle game.
So that's a lot of goals to make up. It's not really something we're going to do between now and the end of the season, you wouldn't have thought. So does that goal difference worry you as much?
Not really now, to be fair, because it's such a vast goal difference. We're not making it up. We're not scoring enough goals for starters. We haven't got a clinical striker at the minute, and I don't know how long Marcus Rashford's going to be out for either. So, you're potentially looking at players that chipping in goals here and there, to try and score your goals instead of not your number one source of goals being in the team. Hopefully, it's a quick recovery for Marcus, and hopefully he's back for Saturday's trip to Bournemouth. But we'll have to wait and see. But we're just going to have to. All that matters now is picking up the 3 points. Doesn't matter if it's a scrappy 1-0, if we beat someone 5-0, 6-0. The 3 points is what matters. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to catch anybody on goal difference, but points wins. We even win a prize. You don't get a prize of top 4, do you? But points guarantee you top 4. I'm with. I just think we need to. I hope we beat Bournemouth. We've got to win on the road before the end of the season, just to break the hoodoo of not being able to win. On the road as often as we should be doing. I was at the West Ham game as well. That was terrible game. That we looked sapped for energy. Legs have gone. And today you can tell we've had a week's rest. Near enough, the energy levels were back up to not to the high standards that it should be, and not to the standards of total freshness, but you could tell there was a little bit more of a spring in the step with some of the players. They look a little less tired. They wanted the ball more. They wanted to take players on a little bit more. That whereas before they might have got the ball and tracked back to the halfway line or turned back and played the easy pass to the defensive third of the field. So it's good to see that with a little bit of rest, we've had a little bit of boost in the old energy levels there. Definite big improvement on the West Ham game. Still not great. Still nowhere near Manchester United level of football, and nowhere near the level that Eric Ten Hag, the high levels that Eric Ten Hag expects. But I'd rather us have that little bit extra now. With the rest, we're not playing midweek until we play Chelsea at Old Trafford. So yeah, I just hope we just continue to see a little bit more of an upward curve now. We're not going to get a full on Manchester United. We're not going to get a full 100 mile an hour Manchester United. That's not going to happen. There's really tired players out there still, but the main thing is we find that just that little bit of extra energy, and that little bit of extra energy, I hope, can see us comfortably into the top 4.
Let's hope so. Jennifer said she's happy to beat the Wolverhampton Bogies. They are certainly a bit of a tricky team for us at times. And she's also put, did we not sack a proven goal scorer? And you're right, we absolutely did. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was there today. So, and I think even he knew the end was coming when it finally happened. So, what can you do? But yes, it was lovely to see Ollie there today. John, Varane, Martial, Sancho on for Malacia, Weghorst and Rashford. They were the three changes. Were you feeling confident when you saw that? And how impressed were you with the fact that Martial was able to both start and be on the bench, according to the official Manchester United tweets?
Yeah, I was confident about today. Obviously, we had a few bad results, but like I've said, we've been poor on the road, but we've been solid. So I was confident that we get the win today. I mean, Jennifer said Wolves are bogus, and we won 5 out of 6 now against them in the league now. So that's a positive. But I thought we deserved to win it. Like Penny was mentioned, I'm sure Stu will mention in a moment that we weren't at it completely, but we should have won by more than 2 goals. It was a typical game this season, really, where we do win. And in the end, we did win comfortably 2-0, albeit it was a last minute stoppage time goal to seal the game. But again, it's another game where we should have scored 4 or 5, and that's where we're at the moment. The defence was solid in that. I thought it was good. Anthony was obviously very lively, frustrated. You saw the good and the bad about Anthony today because he just can't. He doesn't always make the wisest decisions at times. It can get to his head sometimes, but he'll always be a threat when he's on the ball. He'll always try to make something happen. If it's not quite his day, he'll keep fighting until he gets what he requires. In the end, he did get the assist. Martial, it was pleasing to see Martial get on the score sheet today, and he took his finish quite well first time, and obviously, we just he's looking going forwards. I do think he'll lead us on to get the top 4 eventually, and it's pleasing that Newcastle drew today, and hopefully we can go on from there. But overall good performance.
Absolutely. JR will come to the point you put in the comments in just a second. But we're going to have a quick chat with Stu first, take his thoughts and feelings, and specifically about Anthony, because I think that's the thing that's been mentioned the most. He did set up the goal for Martial, but he also had plenty of opportunities himself, none of which managed to find the back of the onion bag. How did you feel?
I saw the game a little bit differently today, but I've seen this coming. I saw it coming 2 months ago. I mentioned 2 months ago we'd have a really sticky patch over the next 6 to 8 weeks, and it's proven to be that way. A lot of it is to do with tiredness. Ben is right, but it's our ability to actually play ourselves into football matches, which is a real problem for us. And Wolves offered nothing today. And when a team offers nothing, you have to take your samurai sword out and slice them open. And we just didn't do that. David De Gea has one interaction really all game, which I think it was late on, if I'm not mistaken, about 10 minutes to go. There was a one-on-one, or where I can't remember who the Wolves player was now. Chucked himself over like a baby, and things of that nature. But, apart from that, De Gea has nothing to do. People were saying, oh, great to bring Varane in. Shouldn't have played Varane today. Should have just popped in Maguire. He'd have fought, had a scrap with Costa all day. You need to be looking at, and this is where Ten Hag's kind of letting himself down now, because he's not looking and utilising the squad correctly. I'm not talking about squad rotation here. I'm talking about utilisation of the squad. And the reason we're having this issue with niggling injuries, suspensions and so forth is because he overplayed the bulk of the players the first half of the season. There was a time where we were going into the Carabao Cup semi-final 3-0 up, and then on the Saturday we were about to play Reading. We should have shipped off the first 11 and used our squad, and we didn't. We went strong in the semi-final second leg. We went strong against Reading. Ericsson picks up his injury, and the skittles just started to fall round about then. And when you're playing this challenge,
that was trust.
well,
did he trust this team?
Well, the problem with that, and you're right, Barry. But the problem with that is you should be, you should be trusting 25, elite level footballers. You should be doing that. And once the Ericsson injury went, the whole skittles then started to fall. I mean, Benny's a match day going fan. He goes home and away. My lad has my season ticket now, so he goes to all our home games. Can't go to the away. He goes to all our home. And Benny will tell you that from Reading onwards, we just became fragmented as a unit, and we almost started to disintegrate as a team, as men, as footballers. And we're in this kind of abyss right now, and we just cannot crawl out of it. And if we hadn't won today with how poor Wolves were, because let's face it, Wolves have got nothing to play for. They came to Old Trafford today. Neves was like looking at his watch for 90 minutes because he just, and Benny will tell you this. Benny, how many times has Neves scored a screamer against us and Wolves have beaten us 1-0? A lot of times, 3-4 times. It's always a Neves kick. And he wasn't in the game, was he, today, Benny? Neves? I know he was there.
He was pretty quiet, mate, today, Neves.
He got his poxy little headband on still, and all this kind of nonsense. And, I think Diego Costa was probably the most dangerous player. And he was just bullish, wasn't he? He didn't offer anything. He was just bullish. So it's a type of game, Barry, where the movement of Luke Shaw back to left back was right, and I understand why people would want Varane back in, but it wasn't the game to bring him in because we need a fully fit Varane walking out onto Wembley turf. Otherwise, we're going to get absolutely battered by Man City. We really are going to get absolutely hammered by them, and we cannot. Although Champions League football's what we're looking for, you can't limp over the line. We've got to get out of this limp mode that we're in, and we've got to start producing again. Now, whether or not we have a week off again, whether or not you rest the lads for 3 days, I would give the lads 3 days off now, completely. No football, nothing. Get them back in Wednesday evening for a light training session on Wednesday evening. Thursday evening, another one, and then I'd hit the road to Bournemouth on Friday morning. And I'd get down early doors to Bournemouth and just rest as much as you can because Benny's right. We're just not firing when we need to be firing, and it's a big part. I saw it coming. I did it live on a show. It's on record somewhere. I saw it coming, and I mentioned it very, very clearly. You've got to, and it isn't rotation, it's utilization. There's a big difference between the rotation and utilization. And we haven't utilized the squad. And players are coming in, they're cold. Maguire, bless him, has come in with cold feet. He's done all right since when he's been in, but he's come in with cold feet. Lindelof came in with cold feet, done very, very well. Dalot hasn't recovered from his injury. He's just not quite with it. Ericsson hasn't recovered from his injury. He's not on the pace. Bruno's playing very well at the minute. I'll give him that. Anthony, well, probably one of the most frustrating footballers we got today, although we played very, very well. But he was like the wolf at Red Riding Hood's door. He just blew and blew and blew and blew and blew, but nothing would go until, he lays off Martial for his goal. But, later on in the game, he could have given Sancho a tap in. It's all about using your brain, and we're not using our brain at the minute as footballers. They're just not using the brain. So I am whinging. A win's a win. You take it, but you can't afford to play like that against a Wolves team that basically had their feet up for 90 minutes. I don't like XG. It's a waste of time for me. I'm not interested in all this, but I'd love to see Wolves XG. Benny, you were there. Crikey, did any Wolves player actually put a sprint in? What you would call a sprint?
Not really, mate. No, it's just as you said. I think they had nothing to play for.
Yeah,
just a training match for them. To be fair, really, just they didn't really put much into it. I expected them, like I said backstage, I expected a much tougher opponent in Wolves today. Because as you mentioned before, Wolves always pretty much a little bit of a bogey side. Ruben Neves always seems to score a screamer.
Jota
I
was
expect Diego Costa to bully our defence a little bit, or try to bully like a typical Diego Costa performance. But even he didn't look like he was asked. I think they're on the plane home. Well,
they're done. Yeah, they're on the beach, aren't they? They are. But we can't afford games like this. We've got another dead rubber Saturday because Bournemouth are safe, aren't they? So we've got another dead rubber Saturday, and then we've got Chelsea. It's almost again another dead rubber Chelsea because Chelsea aren't going anywhere. They're not going to climb up the league. They're not going to get relegated. So it's one of those. We're in this dead rubber scenario. It's no good for our momentum going into June 6th. When if we don't pull our finger out, we could be on the wrong end of an absolute hiding. And this is what I would be focusing on if I was the lads right now in Ten Hag. Look, if I'm Fernandez and I'm driving home tonight and I'm analysing the game, I'm on the phone and I'm talking to likes of Martial. You're too fucking lazy. You're just too lazy. You're not doing anything. You scored a tap in today, but what else did you do? I'm talking to Anthony. You've got to sort yourself out, mate. You've got to be more. When you're being aggressive, when you're being focused, you've got to pass the ball more. You've got to utilise your strengths, but bring your teammates into possession. All of this will be going through my mind. So you got. It's just one of those today for me. I just can't get excited about a 2-0 win where it just doesn't mean anything. I mean, my lad was saying the same, Benny. To be fair. He was there. It was a glorious summer's day. The pitch was mint. He said it looked the pitch absolutely mint. He loved it. And I'm just looking at players almost selfish again. We've almost reverted back to being a selfish team, a team of individuals. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. But I just. Yeah, but you all know me now. I see football through my own eyes, and I just look at it and think, what would I be thinking if I was on that pitch? And I'd been livid.
I just wanted to quickly jump back in regards to the goal difference. So I'm not talking about catching Newcastle. I'm talking about the fact that Liverpool have got plus 25 and we're on 10. So if we was to draw, win to the end of the season, and Liverpool 1 or 3, we'd miss out on the top 4 on goal difference. So that's my worry with the goal difference.
I didn't help losing 7-0 to them either.
No, exactly, yeah. And then I just wanted to touch on the Harry Maguire thing. I thought today was the day that Maguire's career is done at Old Trafford. I've been very much, is he going to go? Is he going to stay? Seeing Varane come straight back in and him getting rid of the left-footed centre back, I think that it should be a telling sign for Maguire to move on, because Maguire, this is obviously just my opinion, and everybody knows that I've backed Maguire quite a lot this season. He seems to be the only player that's been punished this season for mistakes. So he's come in, he's made a mistake in the Sevilla game, and we've not really seen him since. He's sort of been dropped out of the team so we could have a left-footed centre-back, which is fine. It's what Ten Hag wanted, which is why Shaw was playing there. But Shaw's been pushed out to the left, and then Varane's come straight back in for Maguire. Now, I thought Maguire should have started against West Ham. I thought it made sense for him to start against West Ham because he's good on the ball, and he would keep possession a little. Well, the transition would have been a bit better for us. But if I was Maguire looking at what's happened today and Varane coming straight back in, even though I did come on as a sub, I'd be thinking, this guy obviously doesn't fancy me as a footballer or part of the squad. It's probably time to move on in the summer. So I really won't be shocked to see him leave now. I just wanted to quickly jump in with that because I just found it strange, to be honest, that Varane's come straight back in with his injury record and stuff. I thought they'd be a bit worried about him picking up another injury. And like Wolves didn't really offer anything. To be honest,
Dan, he wasn't needed today, mate. He wasn't needed.
We've touched on the away form on a few of the shows, and I'll be quite surprised. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be just that's probably what it's going to be. Maguire is a shout to start against a team like Bournemouth with Solanke up front and the sort of pressure that you're going to need, and you probably won't get a start. It will be the same team as normal. So, I think today is probably the day that I sat there and thought, I can't see Maguire staying past the summer at all.
Oh no, I tend to agree. He's gone, and look, as good as Varane has been this year, the reliability with his fitness it's too concerning. Yeah. And that's why I would have played. And I actually, I'm with you. I would have played Maguire at West Ham as well. But definitely, I would have played him today, and I'll play him at Bournemouth. It doesn't need the risk of Varane. But what you were saying about goal difference, and this is where Man United fans are starting to get a bit rattled, is Liverpool are a dangerous threat right now. They're breathing down our throats, and they'll continue to win. Liverpool will now. They're not going to lose.
Yeah. I've said they won't lose a game till the end of the season.
No, they're just going to keep winning, and we cannot afford to dick about like we dicked about today. And Ten Hag's got to realise this and understand that the Premier League, it's relentless, it's ruthless. It will just grab you by the scruff of the neck and it'll squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until it squeezes the life out of you. It's something different to the Eredivisie, Ligue 1. Where teams are winning by 10, 15, 20 points, that would just squeeze a life out of you, the Premier League will. And we shouldn't be limping over the line. We shouldn't be limping. We should be going over that line, full steam ahead, ready to have a go at City properly at Wembley. That's how it should be.
I mean, you mentioned that. Of course, that's how people would want it to be. That's how people think it should be. But again, it comes down to the squad that we've got. If we remember what Ralph Rangnick said when he was leaving about how it needed a major overhaul, how there was going to be like a dozen players that effectively needed to be moved on. This could potentially be a part of it. So let's just run through a couple of things that have been put in the comments. Obviously, Jennifer was referring to Ronaldo, the Portugal captain, not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I was being funny, as we all know. But yes, Ronaldo. Just quickly pop on this in as answer question. Are any of you missing Ronaldo?
No.
Does anyone feel like we would have needed him? When you're talking about racing across the line, would having a Ronaldo in our squad now be the difference between us running across the line and linking across?
If you look at last season, he did get us crucial goals towards the end of the season. So
we don't cross the football. So for Ronaldo, he's no good. What do you stop doing, Weghorst? Erik ten Hag, is he taking Weghorst out of the equation? Weghorst was the one that was creating the space for Rashford. He's creating the space for Anthony to cut in behind. He created all that space. We haven't got that anymore because Martial's static.
Did you notice when he came on that we did actually create a few more chances?
You do, because he's relentless as a player, and this is where the casual eye looks at football and they call it the eye test and all this. Oh, Weghorst, he's a donkey, blah 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 blah. And people who know football always say, well, look at what he's doing. Look at how he releases Rashford. Look at how he releases Anthony. Because he occupies players. And since Weghorst is out as a 9, not a 10, because he was played as a 10, I think the last time he started, as a 9, okay, we've started, our chance creation has come down. I'm pretty sure Dan will look into that, but the chance creation has come down.
I can tell you already that when Weghorst starts in the 9 and Bruno starts behind, the chance creation is off the chain, so is the press. But as soon as you push Fernandes wide or bring Weghorst deep, it drops. The only time Weghorst ever seems to work is in front of Fernandes.
Correct.
That just hasn't seemed to be an option because obviously injury in midfield. But yeah, I agree totally in terms of, but I think I've mentioned it for the last few weeks on the show, to be honest, in terms of Ten Hag seems to have his set 13 that he's going to use, 14 he's going to use between now and the end of the season, and I don't see it changing at all. I think there's definitely players that are going to be moved on no matter what. I just don't like, I touched on it on Wednesday's show, I don't like Brandon Williams is somehow getting some stick for the sticky patch that we're in currently, and the lad's not kicked to football. Alanga's getting stick for the patch they're in currently, and he hasn't kicked to football. Zidane Iqbal's been getting grief and he's not kicked a football. None of these players are to blame for the sticky patch that we're currently in because they've not kicked a football. If Ten Hag at some point would have sort of give them a chance to warm the feet up a little bit. We were talking about Elanga in particular, 26 appearances, 700 minutes. It's not even 10 games worth of minutes. It's less. Of course, he's not going to be able to do anything. There's definitely a trust issue there. Obviously, there was the social bits and pieces that have come out over, obviously, last night's tea or whatever. I just hope Ten Hag gets back with the players that he wants, because Solskjaer certainly wasn't. And Ten Hag needs a bunch of players that he can trust, and not just trust, but touching on Ronaldo, that are willing to stay on the bench if they're not needed, but be happy and not bring down the dressing room. And he needs that sort of player, and he obviously just hasn't got that in him. This is why I'll never sort of turn on Maguire no matter what, because no matter how bad the fans have been, whether he's been in and out of the team or not, he's been quite professional about everything. He's trained. He's been good with the team. He's not sulked to the media. He's just got on with it, and that's what we need. We need players like that to get us to the end of the season, and then it's just a big summer on and off the pitch.
I mean, it's interesting you mention that, because that is another thing that Jennifer says. We'll just point out, carrying on with the Ronaldo bit, he did say he provided the fairy dust when it was needed. I think he also produced a fair amount of manure in the dressing room, which might have caused some of the problems, but we shall see. She's also put, I think Eric will know his squad better and moving over the one in the summer, which we've all mentioned. If you could all pick one player now who was going to leave the club, who you would get rid of, who would it be? Benny, we'll kick off with you. If you had to get rid of one player, who would you get rid of?
I don't know, really. Probably, I won't get rid of him, but I could see him leaving Harry Maguire just for first team football. And there's nothing against Harry Maguire, by the way, because I'm not like that. I don't dig my own players, unlike some people that used to host a show on here. But I think Harry Maguire will definitely leave, because I think he'll want first team football. But as in terms of getting rid of people, it all depends. You know, we could roll off a number of names. We could list a number of names, and they might not be the names that Eric Ten Hag wants to get rid of. So, if I was pushed to say somebody, probably Brandon Williams, because the kid needs to play football. There's a player in Brandon Williams, absolutely is, but he seems to be playing football week in, week out, like he was doing when he was on loan at Norwich. The kid needs a bit of a chance, needs a bit of a break. So, yeah, I'd probably say Brandon Williams, just for the fact that I don't want him to see him stagnate. You know, he's at that age now where he needs to play football week in, week out. So, Brandon Williams would be my answer.
Okie dokie. JR in the comments was talking about it. He said Sheffield United have been promoted, so Harry can go back there. Which, yeah, again, we don't advocate.
Dean Anderson can go back there.
That was a funny comment. Sorry, John?
Dean Anderson can go back there.
There we go. They can make a nice little double act there. Harry and the Henderson. Yeah, that's an old TV show. Some people remember that one. Stu's nodding. He was on ITV when that was going on. John, who would you get rid of?
Well, there's two, but which I think one of them will be gone rid of. I'm not sure who. I'll probably say McTominay. But I think it's between him and Fred. I think one of them will go. I'm not sure which one, but I'll probably lean towards McTominay, because I think we can raise money with him, and we're going to have to raise money this summer.
Honestly, I mean, number one, you've made us sound like comic relief, and number two, you're advocating the split up of McFred. You know, it's worse than when somebody told me that Jerry was leaving the Spice Girls. What's going on?
I can just see one of them going, and I've been flipping like he hasn't used Fred. It wouldn't surprise me if it was Fred, but I think we're going to have to raise money this summer, and I think with Tommy you could possibly get around 25-30 million for. So we might have to say goodbye to someone like that to get someone better in. So that's the reason I say it.
Poor McFred. Stu, where would you go?
Martial, McTominay, Williams, I would probably keep Maguire, sell Lindelof, because I think Lindelof will get more money than Maguire. I would sell. I'd move on to De Gea. He won't go, but I would move on to De Gea. Bring in a keeper, you get money for De Gea still.
Who's top of that list? Because you reeled off 5 there. Who would, if you could only get rid of one?
Martial. He's a waste of oxygen and salary at the minute.
Interesting. Dan?
I'd echo Benny's comments, to be honest. If depending in terms of getting rid of, I wouldn't mind seeing Maguire move on because he's never going to get the chance in the fan base. So
he needs to play. He does.
Yeah, there's no point in saying if he's always going to be treated the way he's treated. And honestly, outside of that, probably Elanga, because I think there's a player in there, and I just don't think he's going to get the chance. When we reel off these names, when even Fred, McTominay, Williams, Elanga, we've got to remember that these did an absolute grand job under Solskjaer, and we finished 3rd and 2nd with them playing quite regularly and given the chance. So there's players in there for sure. It's just if the manager's not going to trust them, it's definitely worth see if we can get some money for them. But we, as a club as a whole, we need to start selling better. John's spot on with that. We're probably going to get more money for someone like McTominay than Elanga, but we need to sell better. I just hope. I don't want to be in a position next season where we're seeing the same thing, where we've got a squad of 25, but we're only seeing 14.
It wouldn't surprise me because we have been linked with a right back, haven't we?
Yeah. I said
as a bit of an out, I personally wouldn't, but it wouldn't surprise me if one of Wan-Bissaka or Dalot go.
No, he'll keep both of them.
No, but I think there have been rumours he might.
Yeah, I think if one of them was going to go, I think it'd be Wan-Bissaka because Dalot.
Yeah, right. So I'm not saying it will happen, but I think it might be one to keep an eye on.
If you're going to bring a right back in, you bring a right back straight centre half in. There's no point bringing a straightforward right back in. You bring a right back who can play centre half as well.
Yeah, there you go. Some lovely little bits of debate in there. Interestingly enough, Jennifer has also suggested that we get rid of Martial.
She's right. She knows her ball. She knows her ball.
She knows her ball. Yes, she does. She's a WFC fan as well. They all know ball over that side of the fence. Came up with a stat on Twitter, which I don't know if Dan would even come close to be able to check that. But as we know, it's not necessarily the be-all and end-all. But that Anthony Martial has got a goal involvement
every 27
minutes at the moment.
I can confirm that is true.
That is, there we go. Look at this. See, Dan, this is why I like you here.
I saw it earlier. And I had to check
it. 77 minutes.
Every 27 minutes. So that's 3 goal involvement in a whole match if he ever actually managed one.
Yeah. Well, that's the issue, isn't it?
That surprised you.
He's only played 77 minutes.
He might have only played that, yeah. That was his goal today. But would that stat surprise you, Stu? And does that do anything to your mind?
As everyone on the panel knows, stats, not interested. I don't agree with stats. They bore me. People will go on about it. Oh, he's run 10 miles. Or run fucking 11 then. If you're not running 10, run 11. So, if he's doing it every 27 minutes or whatever, make it 20 minutes. And I might be impressed. But this is how, stats to me, they don't mean anything because they're varied. They're over the season. That's what happens. Benny was there again today. We all watched it. Martial looked disinterested yet again. He gets his goal, and you're thinking, right, he's got his goal now. Let's really push on. Go and get yourself a hat trick against the most lethargic Wolves team you've ever seen. I mean, I quite like Max Kilman. I think he's a great defender. He'd be perfect for us. But he was absolutely abysmal. And you know something, Dan, he's not been great since Connor Cody left. That partnership he had with Connor Cody, the way that Connor Cody used to, educate him and coach him through games is brilliant. He's seriously missing that, his Kilman at the minute. But I'd have been sniffing blood. I'm a centre half right now. Come on, I'm going to get myself a hat trick today. We haven't got this. When you step over that white line, and you've got 76,000 people, cheering for you, etc., you want to put on a show. Now, granted, when you step over that white line, by the way, you completely zone out. You forget that people are watching you. It matters not. You know, it really doesn't. And you do have this ability to zone out, but you've got to start looking at how you can affect games better. And Martial doesn't affect a game of football.
I did feel sorry for Martial today in one way, because there's a couple of times he did actually make the right run and nobody picked. There was the lack of awareness to pick their head up and play the ball, and it happened on a couple of occasions to him and Anthony and Fred, and it just seemed. I don't know whether you used to play with the kid at school that never used to pass. It seems like some of our forwards turned into it's going to be me or nobody. Even Garnacho at the end when he scored, I was a little bit like, are we going to pass that to Vegas or not? And I mean, he scored in the end, so that's fine. But if he wouldn't have scored, it would have been another example of we got in a dangerous position. And someone
but did you honestly think Vegas would have had more chance scoring it than Garnacho?
If he would have played the right pass, then he's basically got a shot on target. But there's an Anthony one where he runs from the right back position, skips all the way up the touchline, and there is a ball to the back post, and all he's got to do is pass the ball. And I'm screaming at the TV, pass the ball. And he keeps hold. And then he picks the wrong ball to Martial, who can't get any sort of a shot away. And I think it was Sancho's in. All he's got to do is play the ball with his right foot, and Sancho's in. And I'm just screaming at the TV, just lift up your head and play the pass. He could do it with the outside of his left foot if he wanted to. He's got the ability. And I thought today in particular, there was too many examples of that. And that's the story of the season. I mean, luckily, Anthony's only 22, so he might snap out of it. But it was a very much nanny performance. I thought he was quite good in aspects, but infuriating in others.
Yeah.
Interesting.
At least he laid the ball off once, though, anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad he did.
I bet all those chances, someone must have bollocked him, mustn't you know, that's probably what made him bass it to Martial, probably.
You see, I find it interesting that you said this, because if you think about Wednesday when we were having the conversation about De Gea, I mentioned the fact that Andy Cole, was a great goal scorer for us, but that people would always say he had to have 9 shots before he scored a goal. Benny, you were around at that sort of time as well, and I know every Man United fan really knows who Andy Cole is, but are we just getting a little bit more spoilt nowadays? Surely, to win the lottery, you've got to buy a ticket first of all. Is that not what he's doing? Trying to take that ownership when there was no Rashford. Martial, as we said, is not exactly doing what he could do. Weghorst, comes to mind. What are we gonna say here about Anthony? Because you can't argue the endeavour. Just maybe it's a bit of decision making, which can be coached.
It can be. As someone just mentioned, he's still 22 years of age. He's still learning. He's still learning the game of football, especially the English game as well. He's come from a Dutch league where he's probably got a bazillion, gazillion, loads of time on the ball without anybody having to press him. The Premier League, your fullback's on you straight away. Especially the frightening pace that the league's played at, and the ability as well. Of your opponent is a lot higher in the Premier League than it is in the Dutch league, unfortunately. But it'll come good, I think. The one thing I do like about Anthony, and this has got balls to try things, and this has got balls to run at people, this has got balls to take people on. You look at the other side of Sancho, sometimes you're thinking, go run at the guy. And Sancho sometimes takes a little bit too long to say what he wants to do. Then he goes and runs, and before he knows it, he's tackled.
They're like chalk and cheese, aren't they? Because Anthony did the hard bit today. Really, like literally, the hardest part of what he did was the run up the side. Yeah, and he didn't get his head up for the pass. Yeah. Whereas Sancho is too much in his head about making the right pass instead of just playing a pass.
But I think it'll be interesting. There's an argument to say with Garnacho and Palestri that you'd arguably get more consistency with those two as opposed to Sancho and Anthony, possibly.
Yeah. We're so spoiled.
I'm not saying they're better, but might you get a bit more consistency?
And then when you think to next season, Ahmad, for me, has got to be given a chance next season. That goal today is ridiculous. The idea that he
last week as well.
Yeah, last week as well. I think he's earned a chance. He's gone to the Championship, which is not an easy league by any stretch. He's been kicked to pillar to post every week. He had to take literally a couple of games off because he couldn't keep up with the pace and the difficulty of the Championship. I think where we're struggling and where we've sometimes fell a bit short, he should definitely get a chance next season. But we're so spoiled in the wide positions.
It'd be interesting to see what happens to Facundo Palestri.
That's
I reckon he should go out on loan to one of the promoted sides in the Premier League. I don't want to see him going out loan in South America again. He needs to learn the English game, and he needs to be played at a higher level, whether that's high level Championship or high level, one of the Premier League sides that maybe come up, or even a mid-table Premier League side. He needs to be playing week in, week out, and learning the English game. Ahmad, he's going to be pushing Anthony all the way next season on the right hand side. Just like you've got a trio there on the left hand side, to bring an out and out goal scorer, and you've got Rashford on the left, you've got Garnacho on the left, you've got Sancho, who's probably better on the left than he's on the right. So you've got a trio there of a trio on each side where they're battling for the same position, which could only be a good thing, and that could only be a good thing for Anthony as well, because he's going to have proper competition next season, because he's going to have an Ahmed that's going to come back from Sunderland absolutely on fire, feeling on top of the world. So he's going to have proper competition, whereas this season he's probably had less sort of competition because Facundo Palestri's not really had too many chances. And Sancho, as I said, is better on the left than he's on the right. And then when you put Bruno on there, sometimes it works, but a lot of the time with Bruno,
no, it kills Bruno.
He passes him by on the right. He can't dictate like he does when he plays in his normal preferred position. So I think Anthony will come good. He does remind me. I agree. He does remind me a lot of Nani. When Nani was fucking good, he was good. He was unplayable. But when he was bad, and that's the similarities I can see, between both players. And Nani was exactly the same, by the way. He could score a goal into the top corner, like Anthony likes to whip one into the top corner every now and then. So it's going to be interesting because Amad Diallo looks a player. He really does look a player, but can he do that in a Manchester United shirt? It's probably easier doing it on a Sunderland shirt, but can he do it with the pressure of 73,000 spectators behind him week in, week out, home and away? So
I think he'll stay at Sunderland, I do, Benny. If Sunderland go up, I'd keep him at Sunderland.
That's a good shout as well, mate. That's a good shout. That could happen.
Couple of things. First of all, Anthony, by the way, you can't if you haven't coached Anthony to cross the ball by now, you never will, because he's 22 years of age, right? He's playing football since he was 5, 6. He's been coached at a high level, 9, 10, 11. Okay, that's when you learn the basics of football, because all you're talking about is the basics of football. So that's done and dusted. That ship's sailed. He's got to want to do that himself. That's up to him now to do that. But Palestri, coming back to Palestri, he'd be a better 10. He would be an amazing 10 for us. He's got a really low centre of gravity, keeps the ball very, very close to his feet. He's got a good strike on him. He's got good vision. He does need to go. I'll tell you where he'd be ideal, Benny, and that's Brighton. If we could get him out of Brighton for 12 months, season on loan, they play him as a 10, we'd have some serious footballer on our hands. Some serious football. He's a great player. But with regards to Anthony, coach is not going to do it, I'm afraid.
I agree with you, Stu. It's not technically that he needs coaching out of him, but you need somebody like a Roy Keane on his team to say, what the fuck are you doing? Why have you not passed the ball?
Absolutely.
Getting his face in the changing room. He needs someone that's professionally respected to say to him, that is an easy ball to play. Why we not played it?
Yeah.
I think that's the frustration, because I'm not one for watching YouTube videos, but when you watch them at Ajax, he was putting the ball in the box. He was, and for some reason he's not doing it at United. It's a confidence thing. I don't know. He's certainly got the ability to do it, but yeah, maybe he did a kick up the backside.
I do wonder if a bit of this, like I said, is about trust. I do.
He's going to be a player in the box?
But to be fair, you flip it on the other side as well. Our cross is abysmal. Corners, free kicks, even crosses it when the ball's in play. It's abysmal. For example, when you have a big horse on the field, and he's absolutely abysmal in the air, to be fair. He is.
Yeah,
but you've got a big horse on the field. You've got Say, for example, we've got a free kick on the edge of the area. Your big lads are up, your Varans, your Maguires, for argument's sake. Our balls in are shocking, even for someone as good as Christian Eriksen, who made it look easy when he was at Spurs, putting balls in boxes, and it just doesn't happen as much. I don't know what it is with United, and this has been going on for a number of years now, and it's not just the players that are there now. Our crossing's been abysmal since,
there was that classic clip, wasn't there? It was away at Atletico last year when Ronaldo was playing for us, and was it like we blazed one over him, and then another one went way over, and then another one went over consecutively. No, we don't score it. And then you think we have some, and our set pieces as well. We don't score many goals from the set piece, and you think when we signed Maguire, I thought we'd sign someone to be a good defender, but also I looked at him and thought he's one that you could get a few goals, as I said. So like Vidic used to, and what John Terry used to, which I will see in that.
Vidic and Bruce and all that lot. They have people that could put a ball on the sixpence for him. We haven't got anybody that can put a ball on the sixpence. Every time I see a corner, it's getting cleared. All the faffing around with short corners, and it comes to absolutely nothing.
Can I just say that Maguire scored a few goals for England from headers, and the person who's crossed the ball into him sometimes, Luke Shaw.
Luke Shaw, yeah. But Luke Shaw, to be fair, but our forwards are not moving as well. So you can blame the forwards as well, because they're not moving. They're not anticipating Luke Shaw's cross, because Luke Shaw's got a cracking cross on him. But, it just frustrates me at times. We have some big men there, like Weghorst now as well. Like, especially at corners, you've got Varane up, you've got Weghorst up. If Maguire's in the team, he's quite, as you said, for England, he's quite useful in the air. It just doesn't seem to happen that often, and I don't understand it. I can't understand for the life of me why we don't seem to score more from set pieces. But there you go.
The modern day centre half they're not hard men anymore. They don't exist anymore. There is no Stevie Bruce who break his nose twice in a match. There is no Vidic. There is no Terry Butcher. There is no John Terry anymore. There is no hard men anymore at centre half like they used to.
Maybe Martinez a little bit, because
is trying to offer a more rigid approach. I'll agree with that. But when you look at centre halves across, there's no hard fucking.
I agree with that.
You can't have it, can you? That's not something that's going to exist in the modern game. I mean, Casemiro couldn't even cuddle a player around by holding his shirt tails.
Well,
so the game's gone. You're never going to get that again, are you?
Because you've got to get it back. Yeah, you've got to get it back. You've got to challenge these referees. I was having a debate in the boozer the other week, actually, with a few lads. We'd had a charity match and we were talking about it, and the art of I'm playing at centre half and I'm constantly chewing the referee's ear off every second. As soon as the whistle goes, I'm at him. I'm at the lino as well at the same time. Plus, I'm at everyone else around me. I'm constantly talking, constantly having a go, right? And you've got to almost challenge a referee. You've got to put a reducer in early doors in any match. And it's old school football, but football hasn't changed. The concept of football hasn't changed. All it is, you got a load of girls, a load of posers now that walk onto that pitch. They don't understand what real football's about, And we need Martinez is a breath of fresh air. People love Martinez because he is putting a tackle in. He is going to scrap with somebody, and that's what you need. You need to have that aggression. But what Martinez has got, Benny, which the likes of Vidic didn't have, the likes of Bruce didn't have, was he's gifted. He's a gifted footballer. And Stevie Bruce would be the first to tell you. My job was very, very simple. Straight in, bang. Who's next? And you're looking around. And what did Pallister do? Pallister would bring the ball out, wouldn't he? It wouldn't be Bruce. Ferdinand, Vidic, exactly the same. Now, we're trying to get back there, aren't we, with Varane and Martinez? We're doing it. But Martinez is such a different, gifted animal. It's amazing to see just how hard he is as a player, but how gifted he is as a footballer. Now, is that the modern centre half? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I think didn't Rudiger do a bit of that old-fashioned thing with Haaland in midweek, though?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
No, he did.
That's what I mean. It does happen from.
No, absolutely. Great point. You know, Rudiger stopped playing football.
Yeah.
My focus is you, pal. And I'm going to make sure that you're not going to score tonight, because if you do, it's a personal failure that I've got to then stomach for a week. I've got a week until I can get my teeth around you and put it back. I don't like modernism in football. You all know this. I mean, Benny in particular knows I don't like modernism in football. I really don't. Benny was a goalkeeper in his youth. Me and Benny have had a conversation about the amount of times I got clocked and smacked in the mouth by my goalkeeper, because, you know, I'm coming out and getting that ball, and I'm going to take as many people as I wanted to. When was the last time you saw a centre forward? Okay, the ball's bouncing around in the box, and suddenly the centre forward's got to charge in, you know, get a tackle, take the centre off, and the ball and the goalkeeper across the line. Crikey, when was the last time that happened? Football hasn't changed. It's just they're all FIFA related.
I can tell you the last time I saw that. The last time I saw that was Tunkara in a pre-season match for Man United women. She absolutely bowled for him. She took Leah Galton out at the same time as well. It was absolutely unreal. And I just remember going, crikey, love that.
That's what football is. And, so, you know, the women are going to have to do something similar tomorrow, Barry and John. You know, they're going to have to stand up and physically, and you're going up as in Benny as well, they're going to have to stand up and physically bully Chelsea. They've got to take Chelsea out of their comfort zone. And we're not doing that. So I take your point about Martinez, Benny. I do. But he's a different type of animal, isn't he, to Bruce? We grew up with Stevie Bruce. You know, he went to he goes on
pitch as well, didn't we?
Yeah, they both went on the pitch ugly and came off the pitch even uglier. You know, but they tell you that's what they were there for, wasn't it? I mean, I grew up with the great Martin Buchan and Gordon McQueen, you know, real hard centre halves, top centre halves. You know, Peter Schmeichel took no prisoners, did he? He'd take Bruce out like that. Click of it, gone. Out my way, Bruce. That's my ball. We miss all that.
But as we say,
I can't help it, Barry. I'm old school.
I know. The game is moving on, mate, and it will move on regardless of what we want. We know that. Exactly. But you do have some fans. JR agrees with you. Jarvis says the same. Jennifer says, put Millie Bright in front of Marshall. One result. Yeah, Millie Bright's winning that one. I've got no doubts on that whatsoever.
She's there, isn't she? She, you know, Forestieri will get stuck in.
Well, you were having a debate about this earlier in the show, weren't you, Barry, about the women's? Like, who centre half, Mannion or Turner, didn't you? You know, like, who's better to cope with Kerr?
Katie McCabe, one of my favourite female players. I know she's Arsenal, but she absolutely takes no prisoners. She'll put you on your arse and she'll just look up and laugh at you. I love it. It's how it should be. And then she'll tap you on the head and then walk off. I love it.
With a football, no less. Yeah. I want to throw this one out there. Throw this one out there because it's a good question from JR. It's not a good question, really, but it's a bold statement. Bar Rashford, I'd say the 1990 cup winning forwards of McClare, Hughes, Robbins, and Wallace were better than this lot, but it's close. Let's go one word answers. Would you agree with that? John Commode, one word, yes or no?
Yeah, well, Hughes, just for Hughes, yeah.
It's not one word, is it? Honestly.
I just said yes.
In the women's one, you did, and then you gave a little postscript.
Did I say no? Did I say no?
No, you added to it.
Did I say yes? I said yes.
With added words.
I said yes and gave me reasons.
All disgraceful. Stu, one word. Can you beat John?
Yes, Chucky McClare.
He's done it all.
He didn't say one word either, Barry.
Chucky McClare.
Well, Chucky. Benny, what do you reckon? Yes or no?
Yes, because I love the old school.
Dad, one word. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, Barry. Yes.
Yes, Barry.
God bless you all. Right, where was we? So JR has also said, talking about Ahmad, His mate's a season ticket holder. Says he's the best player he's seen at Sunderland for 20 years. So that's pretty cool. And another question that's come out that honestly, yes, Connor, this. At first I went, who's this? Like, hang on, it's Benny Blessings and Little Shave, which is great. So there we go. This question from Jarvis, we still haven't made it to the second part of the show. It's unbelievable. It's been a cracking conversation. Jarvis has put, do you believe that Eriksen is impacted by Martinez's injury? The matches is constantly shifting and we lack control. Eriksen seems to be constantly running without the ball. I wonder if that's just a wider thing. Do we think that Martinez's injury is just impacting the squad as a whole? What do we reckon? John?
I think Martinez's injury has impacted the team because we've had to play makeshift back post, swap Luke Shaw in at left centre half. So yeah, it has affected our control. And like I mentioned, we've had to pull Luke Shaw position. We were a bit best stayed with Luke Shaw in his main position, putting two centre halves in as centre halves and that. So possibly, but although I'm not sure it's directly affected Eriksen's form because it doesn't fit to me. Coming back from his injury, maybe he's a bit tired and that. So, and I think it's because of. It probably has affected the team and how we play and how we control games, but I'm not sure it's had a direct impact on Eriksen's form. I think I just don't think he's fully fit.
Okay. Anyone else got anything they want to throw in specifically on that, or?
I have, but Jarvis won't like it.
Oh, go on then, Dan.
So Ten Hag has chosen to do that because we have a centre back that can control matches just as good as Martinez, and he's not been played. And I know Stu don't like stats, but the stats are that he can play diagonal balls, he can play short balls, he's got high pass progression, a high ball progression. He's just been left on the bench. So I agree that we haven't had it, and that's another baffling reason why as there are certain players not been picked. But I genuinely think it's a mixture of him not having a ball playing centre back and him looking a bit jaded after injury.
Yeah, so I agree with everything that everybody said, including Jarvis's point of view, because one of the strengths that Martinez, the whole dynamic actually of Martinez, Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno, if you remember when we were really flying, was their ability to rotate as a circle, second rows. And Benny will see it. The way where that Benny sits, he kind of sits over the ground, don't you, Benny? In many ways, you get a really good top end view as well. So you'll be able to see the inter-rotation between Bruno can drop to a 6, Bruno can drop to an 8. That's if Casemiro, by the way, is playing further up than the other three. But what Martinez and the Varane combination did, it allowed them to drop in for either Eriksen to take it or mainly Casemiro, not so much Bruno, but mainly those two. And they would then intertwine like fish, swim up the pitch like that. And that's why our fullbacks were so important at the time, Wan-Bissaka and also Luke Shaw. So it has an impact. People will say, well, one player shouldn't have an impact. And Dan's absolutely right. I'm with Dan on this. And I know he's talking about Maguire, and I totally agree. Maguire just progressed the ball brilliantly. For whatever reason, not being picked. So when you do lose that physicality, which is Benny has alluded to, I've alluded to his gift on the ball and his ability to just make sure and deliver the pass at the right time. It has affected our transition 100%. I think Eriksen isn't fit. There's absolutely no two ways about it. He isn't. He's been rushed back, and he's paying the penalty for it, unfortunately. But we've needed him. I like Sabitzer. I think he's been great for us, and I think a 25 million deal for Sabitzer in the summer would be perfect. Remove McTominay out of the equation. Sabitzer fills that. We've got a much stronger midfield unit going forward. So I think everyone's right in their own ways.
There we go. So we said we were going to talk about it. We kind of have to really, because the news came out yesterday that it looks as though Sir Jim Ratcliffe is leading the race currently. if you are believing the rumours. I'm just going to throw it out there. Anybody care?
I'll take it. I'll
Go
quite happily take this. Look, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors to any sale of Manchester United because of the enormity of it. People are talking about just over 6.1, I think it was, $billion of the Commander sale, etc., etc., etc. Nobody really cares about that. People care about Manchester United because we are a national treasure, an institution, a global phenomenon. But I am telling you something right now. The amount of NDAs that are in a deal of this magnitude is phenomenal. And people may be in the know, may not be in the know, but they're just taking a stab in the dark about something they've heard, or a little junior or a little intern has fed the press. I know how it works because I work in sports media. I'm a sports journalist as part of what I do, mainly motorcycles, but I'm a sports journalist as well. And I truly know that somebody will feed you a tidbit, so you'll keep going back to them. They want you to think they're in the know. A 6 billion, 7 billion quid deal, I would be amazed if it's been leaked without information to the stock market first, because don't forget, you've got to tell them, the New York Stock Exchange what's going on, because there's penalties if you don't. There'll be penalties for NDAs, financial, sometimes criminal. It just depends on the complexity of the NDA. But what I find laughable about the whole thing is, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to give 4 billion quid for 51% of Manchester United, with the proviso that the Glazers are going to go in 3 to 4 years' time, I find that utterly preposterous as a business deal, because it makes no sense to me whatsoever. But it could be right, it could be wrong. I think it's all bullshit, quite frankly, and I don't believe anything until I see that it's Sir Jim Ratcliffe or I see it's somebody else. I'll take no notice of it until we know, until there's an official announcement by the club through the New York Stock Exchange, because they've got to tell the stock exchange. You have to remember this. They've got to tell them. Then it's just hearsay, my humble opinion. I could be wrong, and it could be a done deal, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe could come in with 50% and those parasites. Sorry, 51% those parasites stay. But if that's been leaked, somebody's head will roll for that. It really will.
I mean, it's one of those things. People talk about it. You see it on Twitter. Full sale only, and Glazers out is flying around and bandied around regularly. But
Barry, let me just plant this, pal. Let me just plant this. Right, you're Sir Jim Ratcliffe, right?
I'm not. Okay. But go on.
No, but you are. Surely you would.
I wish I had his money. Christ, that'd be lovely.
Surely you would read the room, and the room is saying, "We don't want the Glazers anywhere near it." So again, it begs the question: why would you try and get the club out the Sharks' waters? Okay, and then kind of put yourself back into the Sharks' waters, because that's where you're going to be. Because if Jim Ratcliffe says, "Oh, by the way, the Glazers still own 20%," the fan base is not going to have it. You're on the back foot, and I don't know why you would do that.
But my question for that then would be: do we really care? Do we really care because the Glazers, if they have 20%, are no longer in control of the club? So if they're not in control, that is certainly the start. I mean, let's not forget we are talking about a ridiculous amount of money here. This isn't like, can I buy my mate's car for 20 grand or something like that, and I'll give you 15 grand now and I'll pay the other 5 grand in installments. It's nothing like that. This is the sale of, you said, a global institution. So, Benny, what do you think? Does that bother you? The Glazers still have 20% left over? Really?
It won't matter. Just before you come in, Benny, it won't matter because the clubs like organisations like 1958, there are an element of the fans will not have it. They just won't have it. And I think if Jim has done that for a serious businessman like Jim Ratcliffe, although, by the way, we'd be owned by Ineos and we'd be under the Ineos sports side of the business, you've got to read the room. Just read the room. That's what I think.
For me, you can't have them hanging around. And I don't think Sir Jim Ratcliffe's that stupid. I really don't. Nothing. I don't think anything's been leaked myself. I think it's all press bullshit, press speculation, and people making shit up on Twitter, to boost their argument for whoever they want to own the football club. And I just get sick and tired of reading about it now. It's boring the pants off me, to be honest with you. It's just nobody knows nothing. Nobody knows nothing. The only people that know what's going on is Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the Qataris, Rain Group, and the Glazers. No fucker else knows what's going on. You know what I mean? Everything else is just hearsay. Do you know what I mean? You get people falling out with everyone on social media and everything. I'm thinking, why are you falling out? What for? People, who are quite, what the Qataris, if you watch the Jim Ratcliffe, you failed the club, you're just as bad as the Glazers. All this, just shut the fuck up, man. Just honestly, just seriously, just stop all this petty bullshit. Nobody knows what's going on. It's like transfers. People could tell you about 100 billion players when United are after. And 95% of it is all bullshit, and people fall for it every fucking summer. And it's exactly the same what's happening now.
Do you know what
I mean? I'm just thinking, take a chill pill. But
I get all of that, Benny, and at no point, I mean, this channel has been at pains to sort of, try and stay out of all that rubbish and all of that sort of stuff. But it's ultimately something the fans are talking about.
Yeah, of course.
The question really comes down to, as I say, if there was an element of the Glazers still remaining in some capacity, would that be, as Stu's put, acceptable to you? Is that something that you could stomach if it meant that, they're no longer the controlling entity and the money's going to come from the likes of Ineos? Would you accept that?
I think the only way that I'd probably accept something like that is if that over the course of 2 to 5 years, Sir Jim Ratcliffe goes, I'm buying them out over that course of that period of time, and then there's a contract signed, sealed, and agreed that they're going in that period of time. Otherwise, I don't want to hang around like a bad smell. Just for the sake of it, what's the point? What are they going to do? There's no point. Just take the money and just fuck off home, basically. Go to America, go and splash it on that shit fucking American football team that they've got. I don't care. But my main point is like everyone's falling out. Everyone's like, just take a chill. This is not going to happen overnight either. You might be so far Qatari, you might be so far to Jim Ratcliffe. People are falling out, and people are like, bullying people on social media. It's just why, when you wonder why there's a massive split in the fan base, because no fucker will ever agree on what's the best, and no owner is going to be a perfect owner. At the end of the day, everyone's going to have a downside as well as their plus side. So, yeah. I want them completely gone, but can I stomach them being around for a little while? So long as the end goal is they're gone after a period of time, I can probably stomach that. So long as Sir Jim Ratcliffe has whoever it is that goes and owns the football club, they have 100% control of every decision, and they back the manager to the absolute hill.
I think
John, can you stomach it?
For that to happen, Benny, you'd have to have a lump sum agreed in writing. Otherwise, if you allow a fluctuation of the club assets, then the Glazers, and it could cost Ratcliffe more in the long term, which again doesn't make sense to me if it's a fluctuated deal that they're doing. Or the Glazers say, look, we want an extra $3 billion in 5 years' time. I want $3 billion over that 5 years' time. Now, which time the club could be worth an extra $5 billion, or it could be less than what Ratcliffe paid for it. Yeah. It's too big a gamble for me. Too big. Well, in my humble opinion, it's way too big a gamble. Doesn't make sense.
John, can you stomach it?
Like Penny and Sean get a bit sick stuff hearing the headlines now. I don't believe hardly anything of it. I do think that I think the silence is definitely in terms of like the power. No, you got non-disclosure agreements, but if the bids were submitted 2 weeks ago and now we haven't heard much from what's going on behind the scenes, that tells me that they're negotiating something behind the scenes, and that's what my feeling is. And I think it's in everybody's interest to get it done quickly, and I think before too long it will get done quickly, whatever that is, whether Ineos take over fully, whether that's Joel and Avram around, whether Qatar take over, we don't know, and it's pointless guess. I think all this talk about the Qataris might make 11th hour bid or something, it's not a transfer window, is it? It's a real business negotiation, and I think we won't be far off an exclusive over the next few weeks. Something say everything's all booked on just a few background checks now, which I think most of them have or will be occurring now. So, but I think we'll hear something over the next few weeks, and it needs to get done over the next few weeks so that we can focus on the summer. We can't go into summer transfer window with this still overhanging us. So I think it's in everybody's interest to get it done soon.
And it's a good point. Glazers don't just need money for the sake of it. Owning 20% stakes for a valuable asset provides financial security and collateral for borrowing. Plus, they can save on taxes compared to selling. So, could well be that that's the easiest way to prize it out of their hands. But Dan, how are you feeling about the whole thing? Could you stomach it?
I'm with Stu. 99% of what we're reading is just nonsense. It's all guesswork. I remember on Wednesday, just before we went live on the De Gea show, it was leaked that the Qataris bid was the favourite and was going to be accepted. And by the time we came off, it was Sir Jim Ratcliffe's. So they haven't got a clue. They just edge the bets and hope it comes in. In regards to what we've heard, I don't really believe any of it enough to pay too much attention to it, to be honest. I heard somewhere that if it's the Ratcliffe bid, it would be the Glazers leaving in 3 years' time for a set amount of money to buy the rest of the shares out, but I don't even know how that would work. I'm not really bothered, to be honest. I've said all along that we don't need a Qatari shining knight in armour. We don't need Sir Jim Ratcliffe to come in and put loads of money in. We just need the debt to be taken away from the club and the club to be left alone to be run. And that is it. That is all we need. Whether that's a 69-31 Sir Jim Ratcliffe one or a fully Qatar owned one, I'm not really bothered in terms of anything deeper than the ownership, as long as the club's left to run on its own. We're so self-sufficient, we've, for lack of a better word, spaffed money up a wall for 10 years, and we're still in a position where we can spend 150 million in the summer transfer window as long as we finish in the top four. So at this point, I just want an owner that's going to come in, put the club's hands back into the right people, and leave it there, and then just sit back and let the club run itself again without too much input. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe can only get the club by keeping the Glazers alongside for a few years, I'm sure he's not going to care what any Man United fan group thinks, to be honest. I get they've got a high follow and people care about their opinions, etc. But he's a billionaire, he don't care. As long as he can get his hands on Man United, you don't care how he does it, as long as he can get control of it. So it'd be interesting to see what comes to fruition. We won't hear anything until the stock exchange has been informed. And then that's when we'll start to know the full details, because it's insider trading if they don't do it correctly.
Well, I think you'll get a big hint as well. They will have been told when they're told something,
You'll schedule a meeting.
Will probably go up then. Probably.
Well, there'll be a meeting scheduled for the news to be shared at a special conference, and then the stock exchange will be closed, or it'll happen when it's closed, so the markets can't fluctuate. Because basically, any information you've got on the stock market You can't leak if it's insider knowledge because you'll get hammered in America. You'll get sent to prison. There's no ifs and buts about it.
SEC will just
you'll get absolutely battered. So it will come out at a time where the stock exchange is closed and you can't manipulate the shares. So maybe when it opens, it will shoot up or whatever will happen. But it will come out when it's closed and nothing can. Basically, none of the finances can be affected. But yeah, me personally, I'm not really bothered. I just want the club back in the right hands. Whether that's in essence, the club just needs to be left to do what the club wants to do. We need to get the right footballing people into it, and everybody else can bugger off.
Sounds good to me. And Jennifer, what a last word that is on this topic. Martin Edwards wasn't so bad, was he? No, he wasn't really.
I think that's the thing. I don't think the person Stu and Benny, you'll go back further than me, but I don't think whoever's been running United has never been that popular, have they?
David Gill was.
But that was done during the. I mean, he was involved with the Glazed takeover, though, wasn't he? I mean, in terms of like the general fan base has never looked favourably at the board, has it? Or I'm not sure it has.
I don't know. It's one of those, isn't it? I mean, the Gill Fergie partnership was good. Peter Kenyon was okay, wasn't bad. And Edwards' crime was to float it. The Edwards family took us from the doldrums, really, and then they floated the stock, on the market. Hence, anyone with any money could buy up shares, and that's where we are today. So, they've got to. I would imagine that Ineos will delist. I know Sheikh Jassim will delist. So this goes again back to what Dan was saying. None of this is going to happen with any kind of credibility until we know what's happening. I can't imagine Sheikh Jassim or Jim Ratcliffe or keep it listed because obviously it gets folded into Ineos and it gets folded into Sheikh Jassim. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot to deal with. And look, if Ratcliffe is the supposedly prepared bidder, it doesn't stop anyone coming in with a bid. You can still bid up until somebody signs a document, a letter of intent. So it's a letter of intent. So
there we go. Listen, we're drawing to a close, but we do have to look ahead to next week. I can't believe it's a whole week until we get the chance to see Man United play again. It's been so regular that we've been playing at the weekend, midweek, that it's going to feel like an age. I think we're going to get to Wednesday or Thursday and we're all going to be sat there going, why aren't United playing? What's going on? But there we go. We are at that point. And Bournemouth, we've got that big trip to the seaside coming up. Is it going to be happy? Is it going to be something good? We need 5 points, would be taking us to 71, which would be level with what Liverpool can get to. So basically we need 2 wins, and we are there in the promised land of the Champions League. Are we going to be getting half of those this weekend at Bournemouth? Stu?
It's going to be one of those games. I think Bournemouth might actually be up for it a little bit more. Now they know they're safe. They've got nothing to lose. They can just go at it and play a flair game against us. I think it'll be tough work. I think it'll be hard work. I think we might scrape over the line 1-0.
1-0 over the line. John, what say you?
Yes, we'll win. I think it's my best friend's getting married that day, so I'll be at that. So it'll be a good day.
There we go then. You've heard it here first. We will beat Bournemouth because John's mate's getting married and that's where he's going to be. That's the level of insight we can give you after an hour and 20 minutes.
And actually, it's his birthday the day we play Chelsea as well.
All right.
They say good things come in threes, so there you go. That's going to be it. But nothing else good is going to happen. So unlucky if you wanted that promotion at the weekend. Benny, what do you reckon?
I'm going to that game, so it better be a win. It will be a win, and I think the Garnacho show will take this game by the scruff of the neck. They'll probably grab the winner.
Let's hope so. We didn't really get much time to talk about Garnacho, but he was superb again today with his little cameo. Great little goal on the highlights. Worth catching if you haven't already seen it. Dan, Bournemouth.
Just worried about the away form, as always. Bournemouth have not been bad at home. I think it's something like 3 wins in 6. They've lost to Chelsea, Brighton, I think. Yeah, they beat Liverpool, they beat Fulham, they beat Leeds, I think 4-1.
Anyone beat Leeds?
Well, Newcastle couldn't.
No.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the away form's just a bit of a worry. I would take a 1-0 now, to be honest. The faster we can sew up the top 4, the better. So we could literally have it done by Chelsea with 2 wins, and then it gives you a little bit of a grace period before the final. I just hope we can wrap it up quickly. I'm hoping Leicester do us a favour tomorrow night, to be honest. If Liverpool drop points there, that would be massive.
I think it's on Monday, aren't they? Liverpool.
Monday.
Unlikely, isn't it? It's unlikely.
It's very unlikely, yeah. But I just hope Leicester can do us a favour. If not,
I think it's interesting. Leicester really need to win.
They need. It's
kind of bit like I wouldn't be shocked if Leicester get something.
Liverpool have got a real chance at top 4 now. A real chance at top 4.
As well.
Well,
they've got a lot to play for. Liverpool have.
Well,
a lot to play for.
They've only got a chance if we slip up.
Correct, and that's the key thing. I think
Yeah,
even if they win, there'll be a point behind.
Yeah, but that's all you need. That's all you need in life. You need.
But the pressure is on them to get the win. After we
get the win, and then they're only a point behind us.
Well,
I don't know if it is. I don't know if it is. I think Liverpool are in better form than we are.
Well, me personally, I think Liverpool went into the mentality of we have absolutely nothing to lose, and since they went to that mentality, they've won every game.
They've been.
And
they just keep moving, and once Liverpool get
but then again, Leicester have nothing to lose.
Well, they do relegation.
They do,
well,
relegation,
that's what I mean. They have to. That what I mean is like we've got nothing to lose in this game. We have to go and.
I think Leicester have to take something from
and
the
it's
Liverpool
at their
game.
ground. If Leicester want to stay up, they have to get something from this.
I think Liverpool. I think Liverpool.
I think Liverpool will win, but I wouldn't be shocked if Leicester.
All I'm going to say is football's a funny old game. You never know what
they got Aston Villa at home, Liverpool next week. So
absolute scenes then when Leicester come home with the 3 points, and we're all breathing just that little bit easier than we were. Well, it has been once again an absolute doozy of a show. So thank you very much. Once again, my thanks to all 4 of you for being on the show. For Dan, my partner in crime, as it is, Stato down there in John, the original Benny, and of course the returning Stu. Thank you all so much for your time. We hope you enjoyed it. There's been lots of you watching, getting involved in the comments. Cheers to you all as well. And on a day when the Saints go marching out, the Reds are still marching on.